By 5 a.m. on Christmas Eve, my apartment smells like onions and rosemary and the kind of resolve you get from deciding you'll just do it yourself again. My name is Elise Nichols. I'm 29. I rent a one-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a brick building 2 streets from my mum's place, and I work the front office at a paediatric clinic. I'm the one who knows where the roasting twine is, who has painter's tape for labelling pans, who keeps a backup list in the notes app in case the paper one gets splashed. 4 years into my mum's remarriage, family feels like a play we put on. I'm not lead or chorus, I'm backstage crew. My mum is Michelle, 54. She hosts because she always has. She gets sharp when she's stressed, like a knife that never gets put away. Harlan is her husband, 56, solid and polite to a fault. He'll carry a bag in and then disappear rather than tell anyone to lift a finger. Annabelle is my sister, 27, practical, fast with a joke that stings a little. Weston is Harlan's son, 24, charming when he wants to be, and used to being waited on. Hallie is our cousin on Mom's side, 20, a sophomore at the community college, quick eyes, soft voice. In my building, there's Zoe next door, 25, a grad student who moved in August, all boxes and textbooks. And down the hall is Edgar, 72, a widower with a wool cap and gentle manners who checks on the radiator heat like it's a pet. The city is quiet at this hour. The radiator hisses and knocks. A plough mutters past 3 floors below. I've got the turkey breast side up on a rack in a foil pan, the ham glaze simmering low, a tray of rolls proofing under a tea towel, green bean casserole assembled, sweet potato casserole dotted with butter and parked in the fridge. 2 pies, pecan and apple, cool on the counter, because pies are the one thing I can do in my sleep. I use my card for the groceries on Thursday, because that's how this works now. I buy, I cook, I show up. Mum's oven has been acting up for weeks, tripping the breaker, taking forever to come to temperature. She told me not to worry, we'd make do. That's the family motto. Not thank you, not how can I help, just we'll make do. The plan is still her house for the meal and the tree because it always is. Her dining room fits 8 if you count the folding chair from the garage. I line up foil pans on the counter and write in block letters with a Sharpie, turkey, ham, rolls, GB, Cass, sweet pot. I stick the tape on the rims, like tiny assurances to myself that everything has a place. I like the way cooking narrows my day into steps. Chop the onions, stir the glaze, rotate the pies. It's concrete and quiet, no interpretation needed. If you do A and B, you get C. In my dad's house, when I was little, we wore paper crowns on Christmas Eve from crackers he bought at the grocery store. His crowns were always crooked. He'd do a drum roll on the table with his spoon before carving. Back then, food was thank you enough. I don't know when that changed, only that it did. On the fridge is my list, 2 pages, clipped under a magnet shaped like an orange. The ham gets finished at Mum's because it won't fit in my oven with the turkey. The casseroles will reheat there too. I've packed the car the way caterers do, with towels between pans so they don't clatter, a laundry basket for the dry goods, my own carving knife because her knives are a crime. If her oven limps, we can still get it done. That's the plan I wake up into. Do the work and keep the peace. I picture the day unfolding the way it always does. Harlan will be kind and neutral and useless when it matters. Annabelle will decide we're doing a buffet to keep the kitchen clear, which keeps me out of sight and moving. Weston will lean in the doorway with a beer and say, "Chef's here," like he's being cute. Mom will touch a plate, adjust a fork, critique the rolls, and say she's just trying to help. Hallie will notice me sitting on the edge of whatever chair is left, and will split her napkin with me like a secret pact. My phone face down on the counter buzzes once, then again. The clock on the stove flips to 5:14, then 5:15. I don't pick up. I move the turkey to baste, and the steam fogs my glasses and smells like butter and thyme. I breathe it in. There's comfort in exactly this. A pan that weighs what it should, a thermometer sliding to the mark, the hiss when the glaze hits the hot ham pan. I'm not going to make speeches this year. I'm going to show up, put the food out, and get through it. That's the promise I make to myself as I set the ladle down and reach for more tape, as the dark outside lifts one notch lighter and the building starts to wake. My phone lights the counter again. I wipe my hands on my apron and flip it over. By 5 a.m, I'd started chopping onions and told myself this year I would just get through it. Now the day is already moving, and the next call is going to change it. The call comes at 6 on the dot. I've just turned the turkey, checked the temp, and set it to coast. Mom doesn't say hello. The oven's dead, she says. It won't heat past 250. Harlan flipped the breaker. Nothing. You can just figure it out, right? I press the phone to my shoulder and look at the list taped to my fridge. Okay, don't touch it. I'll bring what we need. What do we need? She asks, already impatient. Foil pans, racks, sterno, a tablecloth that isn't... I look at the mental picture of her red one with the candle wax crater. Compromised. I'll be there by 8. She sighs like I've inconvenienced her. We'll make do, she says, which is the family pledge dressed up as teamwork. The grocery store on Maple opens at 6. The parking lot is a pale grey sheet with a small herd of carts left out overnight. Inside, the overhead lights are too bright, and there's a line of people buying batteries, last-minute stockings, and orange juice. I grab wire racks, 6 deep foil pans, 4 cans of sterno, 2 sleeves of sturdy plates because hers bend, napkins that don't feel like tissue, a neutral tablecloth they call linen look, even though you can wipe it clean with a sponge. I add an extra roll of tape to my basket without thinking. At the register, the total is $138 and 2 hours. I slide my card, fold the receipt, and tuck it into the pocket of my coat. By 7:10, I've packed the car like a van line. The turkey goes into a cooler lined with towels to keep the heat in, casseroles wrapped in foil, and bath towels like babies, rolls in a paper bag. The pies ride on the front seat buckled in with a seatbelt, because I'm not doing that drive again, if one slides. It takes 2 trips down the stairs. The radiator breathes on me like a dog as I pass it. The air outside smells like snow that never quite got here. Harlan meets me at the door in his slippers and a sweater with pine trees on it. He takes 2 bags, paper goods and the lightest box, then steps back to let me pass. You're a lifesaver, he says, and he means it. And he also means he hopes I won't ask anyone else to lift a finger. Weston is leaning against the doorway to the dining room with his phone, thumb flicking. Chef's here, he says, without looking up long enough to offer his hands. Morning, I say, and set the cooler on the kitchen rug. The oven's display blinks 250 like a dare. I twist the knob. The gas hisses, the igniter clicks, and nothing changes. Annabelle blows in with a tote and a scarf, and that efficient air like she's about to manage a meeting. Let's do buffet, she says, kissing the air near my cheek. Keep the kitchen clear. We'll set up in the dining room and people can serve themselves. Clear how? I ask, but she's already moving chairs. Just clear, she says. Less chaos. I set up the wire racks on the sideboard and slide water pans underneath, line them with the foil pans I labelled at 5 a.m. I light the sterno, and it flares cool blue, steady. Mom watches from the doorway with a dish towel over her shoulder, cheeks already tight with the kind of smile that's mostly teeth. Where did you get those? She asks, nodding at the racks. Maple Market, I say. We'll keep everything hot without the oven. You should have called me, she says. I have a tablecloth. You have wax, I say, and lay the new one smooth over her table. It's wider than hers, and falls to the floor in soft waves. For a second, the room looks like what people think holidays look like. By 9, I've got the ham simmering under a lid on the stove with the glaze. I turn slices in batches and let the edges go sticky. The turkey rests in its towel cave, still hot. The casseroles warm in their pans over the sterno. Mum dusts the tops of the picture frames with her sleeve, rearranges the centerpieces, moves them back. What can I do? Hallie asks, appearing at the edge of the kitchen like she's sneaking into a movie. Fold napkins? I hand her the package. She tucks them into little pockets and slides forks in. Mum glances over and says, "That's cute." Cute is a demotion. By 11, the house fills. Coats pile on the back of the sofa. Someone turns on a playlist of soft piano carols. Annabelle has the buffet running like an airport. Little place cards, the serving spoons set diagonal, the rolls wrapped in a towel like swaddled puppies. She's good at this. And she likes being good at this. "You look very chefy," Weston says, eyes back on his phone, as I lift the turkey out and set it on the board. "Thanks," I say. My apron is dotted with glaze and a smear of sweet potato I missed when I wiped my hands. I don't change because there isn't time and there isn't a place to. At noon, everyone else is in sweaters. Annabelle has earrings on that catch the light. Mum's lipstick is bright and perfect. Harlan hovers near the stereo, selecting a station like it matters. I'm still moving pans, checking flame, topping off the water in the chafers with a kettle. I carry the platter of sliced turkey toward the dining room and angle it onto the buffet. The table looks good. I reach for the stack of plates to add them to the end, to make a path that makes sense. Mum lifts a hand like a crossing guard. "We'll seat you where there's space," she says, and then smiles at the room, already opening her arms to usher everyone else in. Mum's hand is still in the air when Harlan claps his together and says, "All right, folks, help yourselves," like he's emceeing a raffle. Annabelle reroutes the flow with 2 fingers, making a little traffic pattern around the sideboard. Plates at the end, then turkey, ham, casseroles, rolls, gravy in a glass measuring cup, because her gravy boat is decorative only. It works. People love a plan. I step back into the kitchen to wipe the carving board and breathe where it smells like thyme and not perfume. When I come back, there are place cards at the main table, white folded ones with names in Annabelle's tidy slanted handwriting. Michelle, Harlan, Annabelle, Weston, Aunt Carla, Uncle Ron, Hallie. One chair at the corner is pushed out a little, like it's been claimed. I look for my name and don't see it. "Where am I?" I ask. Casual, like I'm asking where the salt went. Annabelle picks up a breadbasket, doesn't look at me. "We set you up right over there," she says, and nods past me, toward the door to the garage. A metal folding chair sits in the strip of floor between the recycling bin and the dog's water bowl. Someone stuck a yellow sticky note to the back with Elise in block letters, the ink a little bleedy. The chair faces the wall. There's a draft. I can feel it on my ankles. The recycling bin smells like orange peels and beer. The dog wanders over, laps noisily, and shakes his ears so his tags jingle against his collar. I stand there with a serving spoon in my hand and think, Okay. Annabelle breezes past me to put the rolls on the table. "Servers eat later, makes it smoother," she says, like she's quoting a manual and it's nothing personal. "I'm not a server," I say, light, making it into a joke so it doesn't sit heavy in the room. "I don't even have a hairnet." Weston appears at my shoulder, with his phone still in his hand. He looks at my sticky note seat, grins, and mimes tapping. "Do you have a Venmo sign? I can tip." I smile back, the way you smile when you're trying to keep all your teeth inside your mouth. "Cash only," I say, "and we add an automatic 18 for parties over 6. He laughs like he expects me to join him. When I don't, he drifts toward the table and drops into his chair, already scrolling again. Hallie slides into my periphery, small and quick, like she doesn't want to get caught. She squeezes my forearm, 2 pulses like a coded knock. "This is messed up," she whispers, eyes flicking to my sticky note and then back to my face. "I'm fine," I say. It comes out steady. It's a habit, the steady. "Go eat while it's hot." She makes a face and goes, but slowly. Like if she dawdles, someone else will notice and say something. No one does. The line forms, plates fill. Harlan says, "Start at the far end. Turkey first." Like he's saying something helpful. Mom is in the middle of the dining room, making a show of welcoming, one hand on a chair back, one hand skimming the tablecloth I brought like she picked it. I carry my knife back to the kitchen, rinse it, dry it, slide it into its sheath. The dog follows me, hopeful, sits when I look down at him. I break off a plain piece of roll and set it gently on the floor. He noses it and eats it, tail tapping. When I come back, the room is plates and small talk. So when are you heading up to the cabin? Did you see they're calling for freezing rain? Hallie, how's finals? The chair at the corner scrapes, and someone laughs too loud at something Weston says. I hover near the sideboard and rearrange the serving spoons so the handles point out. The sticky note on my chair has started to curl up at one corner. Annabelle catches my eye from the head of the table. If you could refill the gravy, she says, smiling, like she's asking me to pass the salt. Sure, I say, and take the warm measuring cup back to the kitchen and top it with stock and drippings. My hands do the things they know how to do. My face does what it's learned to do. Neutral, helpful, untouchable. By the time I put the gravy back, a couple of plates are empty, except for a rind of fat here, a smear of sweet potato there. Save her a plate, Harlan says, pointing vaguely toward the kitchen like I'm a roomer. Mom reaches for a serving spoon and says, "We will." And then to the table, "Isn't the turkey moist? Like she made it?" I edge toward my folding chair, because standing feels like agreeing to be endless. The dog's water bowl is exactly at my ankle. I can feel the chill rising off it. The garage door lets in a hiss of cold every time someone steps out there to get ice from the extra freezer. The recycling bin makes a hollow blunk when someone tosses in a bottle. I sit. The chair wobbles once and then settles. The sticky note flaps against my back and then sticks again. I balance a plate on my knees, empty for now because I haven't gone through the line, and hold it like a prop. From here, I can see the side of Hallie's face. She glances at me, mouth tight, and I give her a small nod, like this is fine, like this is nothing. The taste in my mouth is metal. I swallow it. I lick a spot of glaze off my thumb and stare at a scuff on the garage door like it's a horizon. I tell myself, just get through this. I've done it before. I can do it again. Mum comes around the end of the table with the ham on a platter, steam curling off the glaze. She sets it down with a little flourish, looks up at me over the shine and says, "Clear enough for the table. You're not family, you're the help." The room does that trick where it narrows, sound drops, my ears ring. I feel the grocery receipt folded in my coat pocket, the weight of my carving knife in my hand, the tablecloth I bought under their plates. I set the knife down. I untie my apron and fold it once, neat, and set it on the counter. Annabelle laughs like Mom made a joke, and then stops when I don't smile. Weston glances up and then back at his phone. Harlan says, "Now," and doesn't finish. I walk to the sideboard. The turkey is exactly where I left it, under foil, sitting on the rack over the sterno. I cap the flames one by one so I don't leave an open fire in their house, slide my hands under the foil pan, and lift. It's hot, but I know how to hold it. I carry it to the cooler by the door, the one I lined with towels this morning, and ease it in. The lid shuts with a soft thud. "Elise," Mom says, a warning in my name. I look at her hands, sticky with ham glaze she didn't make. "I'm taking my things," I say, calm. My voice sounds like it belongs to the person I wish I'd been sooner. The pies are on the buffet, pecan still whole, apple with 2 slices gone. I slide the pies into the cardboard carriers I brought them in, one at a time, lids snapping on. I lift the towel around the rolls and wrap it tighter, then set them on top of the pies in the laundry basket by the door. Annabelle pushes back her chair. "What are you doing?" she asks, not as sharp as usual, more confused than anything. "Removing the help," Weston says, half under his breath, like he thinks it's clever. No one laughs. I pick up my knife and sheath it. I take the stack of foil lids from the counter and snap one onto the green bean casserole I made and paid for. I leave the serving spoon behind. The ham, hers for all intents, stays on the table where she set it. Harlan moves toward me like he's going to take a bag. Let's talk," he says, palms out. His face is soft and alarmed. He is always soft and alarmed when something is about to matter. In a minute, I say. I set the casseroles in the second cooler and tuck a towel around the edges to keep the heat. I can feel Hallie's eyes on me. I turn to the dining table. Can you lift your plates? I ask. Normal voice, like I'm asking someone to pass the salt. There's a weird second where no one moves, and then people do what they always do when someone sounds sure. They lift. A fork clatters. A smear of gravy runs. I pull the tablecloth from one end in a clean slide, fold it long ways, and then again, the way you do when you want it to fit in your arms. Underneath is the bare table Mum was embarrassed about yesterday. I fold the cloth tight and tuck it under my arm. Don't be ridiculous, Mum says, colour high in her cheeks now. You're making a scene. No, I say. I'm leaving one. Hallie is standing without being asked, already reaching for her coat on the back of the sofa. She meets my eyes. I lean down enough that only she can hear me. My table has room if you want it. She nods before I finish the sentence. She grabs her tote, shoves her phone and her gloves in. I'm coming, she says, to the room at large, and then to me. I'll get the door. Annabelle stands halfway. Hallie, she starts. Hallie doesn't look at her. I'm going with Elise. I carry the laundry basket out first, the pies and rolls nesting together. The dog follows and stands in the doorway, confused. Tags ticking like a metronome. Cold air slides across the floor when Hallie opens the front door. It smells like outside and exhaust and freedom. I come back for the coolers, one at a time, the weight familiar. Harlan reaches for a handle. I don't let go, and he drops his hands. Where are you going? Mum asks, voice thin with outrage trying to organise itself. Home, I say. I don't add anything. She knows where that is. I take the last thing I brought, the wire racks and the unlit sterno, and stack them in my arms. Annabelle is standing rigid by her chair, cheeks blotchy. Weston has finally put his phone down and is just watching. At the threshold, I stop. It's not dramatic. I just turn enough to see them. Merry Christmas, I say, because I was raised to. Hallie is already on the walkway, with the keys in her hand, breath puffing in quick white ghosts. We load the trunk like we've practiced. Cooler, basket, racks. The trunk shuts. The sound is soft and final. Hallie slides into the passenger seat and buckles before I even get in. My phone starts lighting up before I've put the car in drive. Mum? Where did you go? Annabelle? Bring the turkey back. Weston? Seriously? Harlan? Please call me. Hallie buckles tighter and looks straight ahead. Her jaw is set. You okay to drive? She asks. Yes, I say. My hands feel steady on the wheel. I check the mirror. The house shrinks in it. A little stage scene I don't have to be in. I pull away from the curb, and the receipt in my pocket rustles when I shift. We make it up the stairs in 2 trips. Hallie takes the lighter cooler and the laundry basket with the pies and rolls. I take the heavier cooler and balance the wire racks on top. The 3rd floor hallway smells like old radiator and someone's cinnamon candle. My door sticks like always. I hip it open and we shuffle in. Shoes off, I say out of habit. We tow them off and set the coolers on the rug. The apartment is small. Galley kitchen, little table by the window, couch that's seen better naps. But it's mine. I slide the table against the wall and pull the new tablecloth out from under my arm. It's still crisp from being folded tight. I shake it once and it drops, clean and smooth, almost touching the floor on both sides. Hallie runs her hand over it and smiles. Pretty, she says. Thanks, I say. My hands are already moving. Plates from the cabinet, 4 that match only in that they're round. Forks from the drawer, water glasses that used to be jam jars. I warm the kettle and top the chafers so I can set the casseroles over a low simmer on the counter. When I lift the turkey out of the cooler, steam curls into my kitchen like a welcome. The skin is glossy, the meat still hot. I set it on my cutting board, and the knife slides through like it remembers. The rolls go into a bowl, covered with a clean towel. The pecan pie takes the cake stand I bring out twice a year. The apple goes on a blue plate with a chip at one edge. Hallie rests her hip against the counter. "Do you want me to text Mom?" she asks, but it sounds like a courtesy she knows I'll decline. "After we eat," I say. My phone is face down on the counter, the group chat blinking through the glass like a small emergency. I flip the phone to Do Not Disturb and feel my shoulders drop one notch. I take the pecan pie, still warm, and step into the hall. Hallie follows, balancing the rolls. I knock on Zoe's door with the back of my hand, so I don't leave glazed fingerprints. It takes a second. Then the deadbolt turns and Zoe appears in a sweatshirt with paint flecks on it and a messy bun, surprised already softening into hopeful. "Do you have plans?" I ask, holding up the pie like a passport. She looks at the pie, then at my face. "I do now," she says. "I was about to make ramen." She grabs a sweater and slides her feet into boots without fully zipping them, the way you do when you don't want to give the universe time to change its mind. We climb one more flight to the landing where Edgar's unit is. I knock. He opens to the smell of rosemary and ham glaze that's latched to my sweater. He's in his wool cap even inside. He looks at the three of us, the pie, the bowl of rolls, and his eyes go damp before he blinks it away. "My kids are snowed in," he says, voice gentle with the fact of it. "Is that an invitation?" "It is," I say. "Come eat hot food with us." He reaches for his keys and a jar of his bread and butter pickles from the counter. "I'll bring something," he says. Back in my apartment, it feels warmer with people. Zoe takes plates to the table and arranges them like she's setting a lab experiment. Hallie pours water and tucks folded paper towels under forks like napkins. Edgar stands near the window and says it's a fine view for a small place. The steam from the turkey smells like my kitchen has always been meant for this. "Sit," I say, and when they do, I realise I'm shaking a little. Not from anger, left that 2 streets ago, but from the relief of being out. We pass plates, and I don't serve anyone. Hallie takes turkey and both casseroles without apology. Zoe takes a roll and says, "Oh, wow," with her mouth full, like she forgot she should be polite. Edgar eats quietly and says, after a few bites, "This is very good," and it lands like a blessing because he doesn't rush it. We talk about normal things, not pointed things. Zoe's advisor, who still uses transparencies. Hallie's professor, who made the final open book because the power went out on campus last week. Edgar's radiator that clicks in Morse code at night and how he thinks it's saying, "sleep." They ask me nothing that requires explaining why I left a full table. My shoulders lower to where they belong. When the plates are empty, no one pushes seconds like a test. We clear together. Hallie stacks, Zoe runs the tap, Edgar dries with the threadbare towel I like best. The pies hold on the counter, like a promise. I turn my phone screen back on. The messages are layered in. Mum. Where did you go? Call me now. Annabelle. Just bring the turkey. Harlan. We can fix this. Weston. This is dramatic. Aunt Carla. Hallie? I open the family thread and type with my thumbs so I don't overwork the words. I'm done cooking, paying, or showing up to be insulted. Next time, an apology, a real seat, and everyone brings a dish or $20. I hit send. The bubbles pop up, then disappear, pop up again. Hallie's phone pings at the same time as mine. She looks down and sucks in a breath, then turns the screen so I can see. It's a screenshot from Aunt Carla. Find my, a little blue dot over my building. They're at Elise's, she's added, like a caption no one asked for. The thread goes quiet. The typing bubbles stop trying. The silence is not an empty room. It's a door finally closed. Pie? I ask, and my voice sounds normal. Please, Edgar says. Zoe raises her hand like she's in class, and then laughs at herself. Hallie leans against my shoulder for half a second, and then lets go. I plate the apple and the pecan, the steam rising in thin lines. We eat standing up by the counter because there's not enough space and because we can. Outside, someone scrapes a windshield. Inside, the only thing sharp is the knife I use to slice the crust. The knock comes mid-bite. Too hard for a neighbour. Forks pause. Zoe looks at me with her eyebrows raised. Edgar sets his plate down like he's about to stand if I need him to. Hallie is already moving toward the door. It's fine, I say, wiping my hands on a dish towel. My building's front latch doesn't always catch unless you lean into it. On weekends and holidays, people come and go, and it ends up not quite shut. It's not hard to get in if you try the handle. I open my apartment door with the chain on first, just a crack, because I've learned things the regular way. Outside, the hall is cold from the draft up the stairwell. Annabelle and Weston are there, cheeks pink, noses shiny from the air. Annabelle has her coat open, and no hat like she left in a hurry. Weston's holding his phone in one hand, like it's a compass. Elise, Annabelle says in a half-whisper, like she doesn't want anyone to overhear. Mum says, bring the turkey back. I slide the chain and step into the hall, pulling the door almost shut behind me until it latches. No, I say. I keep my voice low, so it doesn't spill into my kitchen. We're eating. Annabelle blinks like I answered in a language she doesn't speak. We have people over? You can't just... I can. I fold the towel in my hands over once. I can still feel the heat of the pie plate in my palm. I took the food I bought and cooked. You told me I'm the help. I left. Annabelle's mouth opens and closes. Weston tries to step into his old lane and flounders. Okay, but can we just take the turkey and then we can... He stops, looks at my face and lets the sentence die. You can come in and eat if you can be decent, I say, steady. If you can't, then no. Decent? Annabelle says it like it's a new word she doesn't appreciate. Elise, this is... Decent as in, you don't call me help in my mother's house, I say. As in, you don't put me by the garage. A flush climbs up her throat. Weston shifts his weight from one foot to the other. He looks past me like he can see the pie on my counter through the door. We're hungry, he says. Not quite a joke. It's a mess over there. I bet, I say. Ham's on the table. Plates are there. You all know how to serve yourselves. Annabelle gives a short, disbelieving laugh. Mum is freaking out. Just give us the turkey and we'll... No, I say again. I don't have to raise my voice. It feels like putting a lid on a pot that's been boiling for years. For a beat, no one talks. Down the hall, someone's TV laughs. An upstairs radiator ticks. I wait. They don't move. Happy Christmas, I add, and reach for the knob. Offer stands if you can be decent. Annabelle flinches at the word like it's a slap. We're not doing this with a door between us, she says. We are, I say. Now, or not at all. Weston huffs out a breath. Fine, he says, but it doesn't mean what it usually means. He tucks his chin deeper into his collar. Let's go. He turns first. Annabelle hesitates a second longer, like she wants to find a line that would make this go back to normal. None shows up. She follows him down the stairs, boots thumping, her hair catching in the draft. I close the door gently and click the deadbolt out of habit. When I turn back, 3 faces are watching me, all different versions of ready. They wanted the turkey, I say. How'd it go? Zoe asks, like she's asking about a presentation. I said no, I say. I invited them to eat if they could be decent. Good, Hallie says, already moving to slide the chain back into place. Her cheeks are bright, but not from cold now. She peels the dish towel out of my hand and hangs it on the oven door like that's the end of that task. Edgar clears his throat, not to draw attention, just to punctuate. Pie's getting cold, he says, a little smile tucked into the corner of his mouth. We pick our forks back up. The sugar has formed a thin gloss on the pecan top. The apple is still warm in the centre, where the knife went through. The room feels like it did 5 minutes ago, like it knows who belongs in it. My phone starts vibrating on the counter, then again. I flip it over because ignoring it hasn't made it go away before. The group chat lights up like a slot machine. Annabelle. This is insane. Weston. Mum said bring it back. Why are you making this hard? Aunt Carla. Hallie, answer your phone. Harlan. Please let me come by to talk. Zoe washes her fork and stands at the sink, letting the water run hot. Hallie leans her hip against the counter and reads over my shoulder without actually reading. Edgar carries his plate to the sink and rinses, his movements slow and careful, giving me space to decide. The typing bubble pops up under Mum's name, then disappears, then shows again. It hangs there long enough that I start to think it will time out, and then it lands. Mum. Can we talk tomorrow? I'll bring coffee. I stare at the screen. There's no but or if, no conditions, just that. I don't answer. Not yet. Hallie's phone pings. She glances and then tucks it face down under her palm, like she's pinning a piece of paper to a table. Do you want her to come? She asks. Maybe, I say. I set the phone face down beside the pecan pie and slide a plate toward her. Tomorrow, not tonight. We finish the slices we started. The heater clicks and hums. Outside in the stairwell, I can hear footsteps going down, the front door catching on its frame and then closing. Inside, the only thing moving fast is the steam from the kettle, winding up and vanishing. Christmas morning is quiet in a way my building rarely is. The radiator hums like a big cat. Hallie is a lump on my couch under my spare quilt, one foot sticking out. She'd texted Aunt Carla last night, safe at Elisa's, see you tomorrow, and then fallen asleep in 10 minutes flat. I'm rinsing the pecan pie plates when the knock comes. Soft 2 beats. I dry my hands and open the door. Mum stands there with 2 coffees in a cardboard tray and no lipstick. Her hair is pulled back like she left before she was done getting ready. The cold has pinked the tip of her nose. I was cruel, she says, before I can start. I step back to let her in. She toes her boots off without me asking and sets the coffees on my counter. The smell cuts through the leftover sugar in the air. Hallie stirs, sees who it is, and sits up. Mum glances at her, then back at me. I'm sorry, she says. What I said, what I let happen, it was... She stops. It was wrong. Hallie stays on the couch, quiet, present but not inserting herself. I wrap my hands around the coffee she pushes toward me. The heat goes right into the ache in my fingers. It felt like a demotion in my own family, I say. The folding chair by the garage isn't new, Mum. It's just the first time you called it what it was. She flinches like that lands. I know, she says. I tell myself I'm hosting, and then I get... She makes a small, sharp motion with her hand. And then I act like this. I'm not doing it anymore, I say. I keep my voice even because I've already done the yelling in my head. If I come over, it's as a guest, not the staff. I'm not cooking or paying or planning unless it's agreed and shared. If you want me there, it has to be different. Tell me how, she says fast, like she wants a list she can follow. A real apology, I say. In the group, not just to me in my kitchen. A real seat at the table, my name on a place card at the table, not a sticky note by the recycling. And true potluck, assignments or $20 from everyone so the cost and the work aren't invisible. Store-bought is fine, chips and dip is fine, but not nothing. She nods, already reaching for her phone. Can I say it, she asks, out loud on speaker, so I don't edit it later. Okay, I say. She taps and scrolls, then lifts the phone. Harlan, she says when he answers. She explains where she is, that she's putting him on speaker. His voice fills my small kitchen, warm and unsure. Hi, Elise, he says. I'm listening? Mum hits add, calls Annabelle, merges the call. What? Annabelle answers, sharp from sleep or defensiveness, I can't tell. Another ad, Western. He picks up with, is this necessary? Mum takes a breath and doesn't build a case. I was cruel last night, she says. I called Elise, the help. I let a chair by the garage be her seat. I let us turn her work into the background like it didn't have a person attached. I'm sorry. No excuses. The line goes very quiet. Somewhere on Harlan's end, I hear a kettle click off. Harlan says, I'm sorry too. And it sounds like he said it to himself already, practicing. Annabelle exhales. I shouldn't have said, servers eat later, she says, clipped, like she's soaring through a branch. I thought I was being efficient. I was being rude. Sorry. There's a rustle like Weston shifting. He lets a beat go by. Yeah, he says, grudging and honest. I was a jerk. Sorry. Hallie's eyes flick to mine, steady, like, see, this can happen. I have terms, I say, because this only works if I don't leave it soft. If I'm going to show up for anything, starting next week, it's potluck. I'm not cooking the whole meal. I'm not paying for the whole meal. We'll do assignments or $20 per adult. There's a sign up, and I sit at the table, a real seat, no more folding chairs by a door. Done, Mum says immediately. Agreed, Harlan says. Annabelle hesitates a half second. Fine, she says. Assignments are good. I like lists. Weston grunts. I'll bring something, or cash, whatever. Good, I say. I open my messages and paste a link. It's a simple spreadsheet. Mains, sides, salad, bread, dessert, drinks, setup, cleanup, with slots and a note at the top. Store-bought, okay. $20 option if you don't cook. Text me to claim. I hit send to the family thread and watch the blue bar crawl. New Year's at your place, I add into the phone. Potluck. No exceptions. If the terms aren't met, I won't be there. New Year's, Mum repeats like she's testing the shape of the word and finding it holds. Potluck. No exceptions. Harlan says, I can do cleanup. It's small, but it's the right small. I'll bring slaw, Annabelle says. And a dessert. I can swing by the bakery. I'll bring drinks, Weston says, and I'll put 20 under it if I mess it up. Thank you, I say. I don't add anything extra to soften it. It doesn't need softening. We end the call. Mum puts her phone face down on my counter like it might go off again. She looks at the chairs by my little table, then at Hallie on the couch, then at me. Can I hug you? She asks. Yes, I say. She does. It's not long. It's not dramatic. It lands, and then it's done. I'll text the apology too, she says, reaching for her phone again, more to give her hands something to do than because I asked. She types, thumbs careful, and reads it once under her breath. No excuses, she repeats, and hits send. She picks up one of the coffees like she just remembered it's there. Do you have plans today? She asks. It's a normal question, not a claim. Hallie's going to her mum's in a bit, I say. I'm doing nothing, I add, and it feels like a luxury. Good, she says. She zips her coat. I'll see you on New Year's. At the door she pauses. Thank you, she says, and she means for more than the turkey. After she leaves, Hallie flops back against the cushions, grinning into the ceiling. You made a spreadsheet, she says, admiring like it's a sculpture. I did, I say. My phone pings. Harlan has claimed cleanup. Annabelle has put her name next to dessert and sides. A minute later, Weston drops drinks plus 20 in the notes field like a peace offering. I take a long drink of coffee and feel it spread. The apartment smells like sugar and steam and something else I can't name yet. It's quieter, but it's not empty. New Year's Eve, I park 2 streets over and carry in 1 bakery box with lemon bars I made this afternoon, dusted with powdered sugar like new snow. No coolers, no laundry basket, just dessert and my coat over my arm. Harlan opens the door before I knock. Happy New Year, he says, and takes my coat like it's the most natural thing he's ever done. The house smells like food and the little lemon oil I recognise from the cleaner Mum uses on the wood. The oven has a post-it on the dial, do not use, in Mum's handwriting. On the counter there's a plug-in warming tray and 2 slow cookers. Cords gathered neat. The sideboard is lined with the wire racks I left here last week. Water pans already steaming. The dish list is printed and magneted to the fridge, names next to items in Annabelle's tidy slanted letters. Someone has put a star next to clean up. Harlan. Hi, Mum says from the kitchen doorway. She's in a sweater, not an apron. Those look beautiful. She takes the lemon bars and doesn't peek under the lid. Thank you for bringing dessert. Thanks for having me, I say. Annabelle comes in from the dining room, holding a stack of plates, and for a second she looks like she might make a joke and thinks better of it. Instead, she touches my shoulder, quick. We ended up swapping, she says, nodding toward the fridge. Weston took slaw. I grabbed drinks. Bakery was out of the tarts I wanted, so I got a cake too. She rolls her eyes at herself, not at me. I know. Overkill. It's fine, I say. It is. The list has the edits marked in a different pen. It looks like a plan we all agreed to. Weston arrives from the hall with a plastic tub of store-bought coleslaw and a paper bag. He sets the slaw into one of the racks, and then slides a 20 under the edge of the tub like a tip jar. He catches me catching him and gives a tight little shrug. Insurance, he says. Looks good, I say. He ducks his head and wanders off to fuss with the ice bucket like he invented it. Aunt Carla and Uncle Ron are already at the table, 10 minutes early like always. Hallie waves from her seat, a glass of sparkling cider in front of her. She's wearing a paper crown from a cracker, tilted like she meant to. She points at the place cards with her chin. Each is white, names in Annabelle's hand. Elise is at the middle of one long side, by Hallie, not near a door. I take my seat and don't sit on the edge of it. Welcome, Harlan says, sliding my chair in. It's a small thing, and it lands clean. We eat buffet style because the sideboard makes sense with the broken oven and the mix of dishes. There's Weston slaw, Annabelle's bakery cake under a dome, Hallie's salad with too many cherry tomatoes because she likes them, Aunt Carla's crock-pot meatballs, Uncle Ron's store-bought bread that he warmed in his own oven and wrapped in a towel, Mum's beans in a slow cooker with a little sign that says careful, hot. No one tells me where to stand. No one tells me to wait. I put turkey on my plate because Harlan roasted a small one in a borrowed electric roaster, and it's good. At the table, conversation steers around last week without pretending it didn't happen. Harlan says, "Cleanup's me and anyone who wants to be me." Mum laughs at a story Hallie tells about her professor's broken coffee maker. Annabelle asks if Zoe liked the pecan pie, and I say yes, and that Edgar brought pickles. And Aunt Carla says she'll send him her pimento cheese recipe. It feels like the right size of normal. At one point, Mum hands me the ham platter to pass, and doesn't layer it with instructions. "Thank you," she says, when it's in the centre of the table. The words land soft and don't slide off. After seconds, Harlan stands and starts carrying plates to the kitchen. Weston follows without being asked, grabs the trash bag and does a slow circle for napkins and empties. Annabelle covers leftovers and labels them in block letters, passing me the marker like an offer and smiling when I leave it on the counter. Mum stacks forks and says, "Careful, edge is hot," to Hallie and not to me. In the kitchen, Harlan washes. Water runs hot. He hums, off-key. Weston dries and doesn't make a production out of it. I lean against the doorframe and talk with Hallie about her spring schedule. No one is waiting for me to get up and fix anything. When I do stand to bring my plate in, Harlan takes it from my hand. "I've got it," he says, and means it. When the bakery cake comes out, Mum holds the knife and looks at me. "You first?" she asks. I nod. She cuts a clean piece and sets it on my plate. "Thank you for bringing dessert," she says again. And this time it's not about the lemon bars. I nod again, because there's a limit to how many times you can acknowledge the same small miracle in one night without knocking it over. Midway through cake, Hallie clinks her cider glass with a fork. "To doing things like people," she says, face pink, regretting the speech as she's giving it. "To doing things like people," I echo, because it's exactly right. Glasses knock gently. By the time I put my coat back on, the dish list on the fridge has check marks next to each line. There are foil-wrapped leftovers with names on them. Aunt Carla's and Uncle Ron's containers are stacked by the door. My lemon bars are down to 2. Weston's 20 is gone. There's a little note by the dish. "Covered drinks, thanks," in Mum's handwriting. At the threshold, Mum hugs me quick. "See you soon," she says, like she trusts that there will be a soon if the terms are met. "See you," I say. Harlan steps past us with the last bag of trash like it's a relay baton. Annabelle squeezes my shoulder the way she did when I walked in. Not a performance, just contact. Hallie grins at me around her paper crown. The justice isn't loud. It's a real seat, and a 20 under a plastic tub, and water running in the right sink. It's me taking my coat and my empty dessert box and nothing else. When I get home, I put the box on my counter and hang my coat up. The tablecloth I took last week is folded on my chair, clean. It'll go back when I feel like bringing it, not because anyone assumes I will. If anyone ever says the help again, I won't. They know I mean it. The door is there. I keep my keys by it,